Are you tired, frustrated, overwhelmed, being pulled in a million different directions, deadlines and projects at work, responsibilities at home, and you really don't know what to do? Well, you've tuned into the solution. We educate, we empower, and we equip individuals to live the best life possible. And we partner with businesses and organizations to achieve the best possible results. How do we do this? We teach you the value of time. It's the great equalizer. Every day we begin with 24 hours and it's a countdown. And what you do with that time, how you allocate it, what you make as your priorities, how you focus on your values will determine the amount of success that you experience. On today's show, you'll discover the tools on how. I do appreciate you taking the time today to join us, and your being here does say a lot about your desiring to implement some change and to become more productive, because when people say, doubling your productivity, they often ask, how does that affect me? Well, it affects all of us, usually right here. Checkbook, your lifestyle, it affects your money. All those things are a result of your productivity. An example is, last week I had someone working on a proposal for a corporate client of ours, and they worked on the proposal. It looked great, and I went back to review it before presenting it to the client. And as I read through it, I saw a missing piece. A major piece that was missing, because I had spoken to the account and I knew what they wanted to do. So I made a couple tweaks. In about 15 minutes, this proposal went from $2,200 to right at $4,900. One missing piece, 15 minutes. We sat down with the client, we presented it. Without question, they bought it because they knew that's what they needed. The difference in that almost $2,800 was that I knew what to look for. X marks the spot. And in your life, you have to know where to look and what to look for and how to focus in to find those missing pieces, because when it comes to productivity, that's what it's always about. It's not what's obvious, because everybody knows what's obvious and what we need to do from that perspective, but it's being able to focus in on the missing piece, the area that no one sees or the area that no one's working, and beginning to tap into that and to become productive with that. And I share that story because in that $2,800 difference was a simple one little thing. It took less than 15 minutes to do that. But I doubled the amount of the account. I doubled the revenue. I doubled our potential with it, only because of the simple X on the one missing piece. And in your folder, you'll see a presentation with some PowerPoint notes that you can use to follow along with some of the things I'm going to share today, but you can also take some notes on it and personalize it for your life and for things that are particular to you. When you look on that first slide, you see that X does mark the spot, and your productivity is knowing where to put the X in your life, knowing where your schedule is concerned, knowing how to get the best possible results out of what you do, be it in sales, be it as a business owner, recruiting, whatever it is you're doing, you have to know how to single-mindedly get in there and figure out what you need to do, because your intelligence, your focus, and your clarity on the right things are what's going to differentiate you from the masses. It's what makes you marketable. It's what makes you your revenue and your income. And this is also what takes you above average, because being average barely keeps you on a job. Being average barely keeps your bills paid. Being average is not fulfilling. Being average is basically being in a place of stagnation, and it keeps you frustrated. And the only way that you can separate yourself beyond that and above that is in one thing. It's called focus. You cannot double your productivity. You cannot advance past average without being focused. If you think about energy or you think about light, it's all around us. Everywhere you go, everywhere you look, it's there. But when it's focused, it'll literally, a beam will go through steel. The only thing changed about it is that it's no longer scattered. It's just focused energy. And that's how you have to learn how to live your life. That's how you have to operate on your job. That's how you have to run your business. You have to begin to develop that type of focus to get it done. And when you begin to do that and you get focused like that, you literally take the X and you can begin to mark the spot. You can mark the spot, because that requires effort. It requires practice. It requires commitment. And you're going to have to learn how to do this day by day, hour by hour and minute by minute to really be able to experience the impact and the results that you're desiring for it in your life. In order for you to double your productivity, and my husband, when we were talking about this session, he said that's called dip. When you double your productivity, you just got to dip. He said every time you think about that, think about dipping, because that's what you're doing. It's almost like you step back to speed up. And when you do that, you are planning, you're coming up with a creative plan, you're coming up with an action, because you have to manage the expectations on a daily basis of all your clients. You have to manage the expectations every day of your boss or your manager. Let's not add in family. Let's not add in friends. Let's not add in every single thing else that's going on. And you have to learn how to focus in on what you need to do, because you have all these aspects of your life vying for your time, vying for your attention. And one of the biggest things that keeps many people from being unproductive is not that they're not willing to do the work, but they don't know what to do. They're kind of all over the place. You're trying to be productive here and you're not finishing that and you're moving back over here. So instead of focusing in on maximizing any level of productivity, you got a whole bunch of pieces going on. Anybody know anything about having several pieces of the puzzle? Nothing really completed, nothing really maximized, but a little bit of everything. Then you're frustrated. Your checkbook's not saying what you want it to say, your quota's not met, your client deals aren't solved, and you're frustrated. And you know you've been working hard, but you've scattered all your energy, you've scattered all your focus, you've scattered all your direction. So at the end of the day, you have no results, just a lot of hard work and frustration. That's because you're not focused. And when you begin to focus on the right things, when you begin to single-mindedly know what you're aiming to accomplish and what your goals are, first of all, it reduces stress. Because one of the biggest factors with that is not knowing what you're doing. I don't know if anybody else can relate. You know, month end is coming in. You know you had a quota of 3 clients you were supposed to acquire, whatever you were supposed to do this month. It's the last week of the month. Now you're stressed. So now you just want to call everybody. You want to follow up on everybody. You got all these things you're trying to do to get these missing pieces to the puzzle, and none of it seems to be working because you're not focused on anything. You're just trying to reach for loose ends. And that's what happens, and you just have to determine how to get your stress levels down and make sure you're on the same page with the things that you're aiming to accomplish, and make sure that you're being accountable to the things and the goals that you set ahead for yourself. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later. And the thing is, you know, every time management or organization book tells you the formula to double your productivity. And it's so easy to hear the formula. You guys may already know it. You probably can recite it. And of all of them that you can read, I put it in your notes, but I compiled one. And it is simply do more and more things of higher value, and delegate, delay, outsource, and get rid of tasks of lower value. That sounds so simple. That sounds so easy. But if I ask any of you, how many of you are doing that on a regular basis, or you do it every day, or that's a part of your life, what would your answer be? Because that's so simple in theory, but alone, without effort, and without commitment, and without determination, it's just that. It's just that. So what I want to share with you today, and I want you to leave here with, is how you can take that formula from just being a formula or something cute that you read on the pages of a book or something you can find on the website, to how you can actually take that and implement that and put it into your life so it's affecting the things that matter to you. And there are 2 things that will do that for you, and they're very personal. This is not anything that your manager can do. This is not anything that your supervisor can do. It's 2 things that you have total control over. And the first one is crucial conversations, and the second one is crucial investigations. And I call them crucial because they are so imperative, and no one else can do them but you, and no one else can affect the outcome of them but you, so it's crucial. The first one is a crucial conversation you need to have with yourself. If I were to ask you to pick your pen up right now and write down 3 things that you knew you needed to do, but by 12 o'clock today you still haven't done them, how many could write down 3 things? So then if I was to ask you why you haven't done them, what would your answer be? Not justifications or excuses, but the real root reason of why you haven't done it. If I was going to come around and pick up your papers, who could really write that out for me? And then the next thing is, you know, asking yourself, okay, I know what I need to do. I know why I haven't done it. But what am I going to do to bust through the fear? What am I going to do to get through the wall? What am I going to do to not be tomorrow thinking of 3 other things that I should have done yesterday that I still haven't done today that I'm still trying to justify? What am I going to do to change that? What am I going to do? And then I want you to have a crucial conversation with yourself. Walk around your office and find the most productive person there. Who's making all the money? Who's closing all the deals? Who's selling all the houses? Who's getting all the accounts? I want you to look at them and then ask yourself, why is it not you? That's a crucial conversation, because you know what they're doing, or at least you know some of the things that they should be doing or probably are doing that you're not doing. If you're a business owner, take a look at someone who owns a business similar to yours that's thriving. Why is theirs where it is and why is yours stagnant? You have to have that conversation with yourself, because only you know the answer to that. And you have to be real, because my answer to that question for you does nothing for you. You need to know, and when you ask yourselves those questions, a lot of times you get frustrated, because I don't really ever like the answers. Because you know the answer, you find yourself going in a circle, justifying, coming up with the best of excuses, the best set of circumstances, or what you're going to do better. You know, those answers always seem to tend to be somebody else's fault but your own. But at the end of the day, who can be responsible for what you do outside of you? The second thing is those crucial conversations. The next step of it is crucial investigations, because now you need to have some conversations with some other folks. You know, that person that's in the office that's having all the success that, you know, when I used to be in sales, you go in and you know how they have the big board and they have all the people, who's hot, who's cooking, everyone on the list, and you find your name and you start at the top and you're like, you know, you kind of follow through. Everybody knows who that top person is. So you begin to investigate. Take that person to lunch. Take them to lunch. Who turns down a free lunch? Now, you do have some offices I've worked before, and they were kind of cocky, and they thought they were, you know, a little bit untouchable. But in those situations, I didn't take them to lunch. I took their boss to lunch. Please tell me what Crystal's doing. He's eating his steak, and I'm taking notes. What is Crystal doing that's making her number so high every month? What is her discipline? What are her goals? So begin to investigate. Find out what they're doing. There's more than one way. If you're really trying to double your productivity, become more effective, to make more money, get creative. Because average sit still and think that the answers are going to come to you. You know, when you're success-oriented and you're goal-oriented, that requires getting out there and doing something. Take them to lunch. Take the boss to lunch. And while the boss is eating, you know, would you like some dessert? You know, keep talking. Because I want to know what they're doing. Because it does me no good to sit in the meetings and watch the numbers go up, or her come shooting through the office with this big old bonus check. And I'm like, okay, when I have all access to finding out what I need to do. And the next thing is, you know, after you do that, even if say you're self-employed, find someone who owns a business like you own, or someone who's making the type of money that you make. You may not be able to get access to them, but what associations are they members of? You might need to join it. You know, where do they golf? Where do they work out at the Y? You know, find out. Just begin to try to develop a relationship or seek out answers that can help you go from where you are to where you desire to be. And no one's saying that you're average, because average people wouldn't be here today. But what I am saying is that you have a desire to do more. You have a desire to accomplish more. And someone who's already in pursuit of that, and someone who's enjoying the benefits of doing that, I always believe there's more I can learn. They definitely have something that they can offer me. I'm always buying people cups of coffee and cheesecake. If there's a successful woman, I've never heard one yet turn down cheesecake. Would you like? Oh, I love you. Where's your favorite cheesecake? Well, you know what? Whatever. If it's someone, if it's a couple, if it's a gentleman, for me, my husband and I were taking him out to dinner. What's your favorite restaurant? Let me feed you. Most people will love a meal. Most people don't turn them down, so you got to find out what you can do. Because the whole thing in this investigation is to find out, why are they more successful than you? Why are they more productive than you? Why are they making more money than me? Because if you look around, you're like, okay, I'm just as sharp. I have just as much education. I'm willing to work just as hard. But what are they doing? Because there's something that they're doing that you're not doing. And these crucial conversations, these crucial investigations, these steps that you have to take are so very necessary so you can go to the next level. Because so often you set goals, and they're goals that you think you want to accomplish, you think they're good, but if they're not pointing you in the direction of where you're trying to go, if they don't line up with what you're aiming to accomplish, then they're useless. So after you've had these crucial conversations with yourself and you found out what you're not doing that you need to be doing, and you've talked to successful people who may be doing something different, now you have enough information to begin to create some crystal clear goals for yourself. You know what it's going to take. You know what changes you need to make. And the key to doubling your productivity, the key to higher productivity is it begins with crystal clear goals. And for a goal to be clear and for it to be effective, it has to be specific. It has to be measurable. You have to be able to analyze it. You have to be able to believe that it's something that you can achieve. You have to know this. It has to have a timeline. A goal without a date on it is simply a wish. When will you have this accomplished by? When will I evaluate my progress by? You know, you have to know those things. For more clarity, when you have more clarity and you have on what you're aiming to accomplish, the quicker you're able to get it done. The more effective you're able to get it done. And when it's done, you can move on to the next level, which is in line with what you're aiming to do, and it's positioning you for more success. And when you're creating these goals, you need to make sure that these goals are in line with your company. Because if my goal is to have 2 new accounts this week, and my manager's goal for me is to have 6, I'll never measure up. So I need to make sure that my goals are aligned with what my company has for me to do. You just got to make them real, because your goals need to line up to position you for the money or for the time. Whatever motivates you with those things, your goals need to position you and be intact with that. You need to just crystallize them, and you need to make them real. And after you know what those goals are, you need to have a clear written plan of action. Very productive people think on paper. We are so intelligent. We love to keep things in our mind. We like to just have mental checklists. But if you're going to be productive and you're going to be effective, get it out of your head and get it on paper. How many people are coming into your office in a given day? How many phone calls are coming in? If you have children, or if you have a spouse, you have employees, all this is going on, but you've got all these things that you need to do. And by end of the day, who's ever walked into the office and said, okay, I was about to. Okay, if I walk back out, let's try it again. You know, trying to remember, because it's not clear. And you don't have anything that's talking to you. When you think on paper, the paper talks back to you. It helps you keep account of what you're doing. It lets you see where you're falling short. It helps you evaluate your progress. It's essential. And if you read anything about success principles, or if you read anything, you have to understand how to get it on paper, because they say if you put it on paper and you begin to use that and you begin to refer back to it, your productivity goes up 25%. 25% just by utilizing that. And so that's literally helping you organize what you need to do. You know, number 3, I put systemize. Use the 80-20 rule. And everybody, if you go to church, you know, you hear 80% of the people come, 20% do everything. At a corporation, 20% make all the rules, 80% carries it out. Is that not true? In most companies, that's kind of how it works. You have to begin to do the 80-20 rule in your own life. 20% of the things that you do has 80% of the value. 80% of what you do just takes up your time. Does that apply? Think about it. 20% creates your income. 20% creates your your revenue. 80% is a lot of just other stuff. And you have to be able to evaluate, look at your life and say, okay, what are the 20% of the things that I do that creates the results that I want? Those are the 20% you need to focus on. That's where you need to put your power on. Those 20% need to be at the top of your list, because they have the biggest value in your life, and you're not doing them has the greatest consequences. So that needs to be your focus. You know, meeting a deadline for a client is extremely important. If you don't do that, you can lose the account. Having lunch with a friend, it's great. However, there are no consequences if you change it. So you really need to systemize your day, systemize what you're doing, evaluating your business, evaluate on your job. What are the 20% of things that accommodates that qualify for the majority of what you're doing? And it has the biggest value and the consequences. Number 4, seek accountability. You know, so often you work at a company and they hold you accountable for the numbers at the end of the month. They hold you accountable for what you're supposed to produce. But you need to seek out accountability, because a lot of times you can work for companies and the manager won't come in to tell you you're not doing what you need to do until you've not met the quota, or till you've not got the accounts, till you've not handled your business. So what you have to do is position yourself to seek out that accountability. You know, get feedback from your manager. You know, something that I recommend is once a week, maybe on a Friday, email your manager or your supervisor and let them know your victories and your challenges for the week and your goals for the next upcoming week. Find out if those goals line up with the goals that they have for you. Do they contradict what they want for you to do? Do they know of a project that's coming up that they're going to hit you with on Monday that you may not know about? Get feedback from them. Make sure, and get some suggestions, get some input. Ask your manager to respond with some insight and suggestions on some things that you can do better. Open yourself up for encouragement, but open yourself up for criticism. Because if you knew every single thing that you were doing in that job, you might not have that job. You might have already been promoted. You might have opened up some opportunities. And if you have a manager, I've heard people say, well, my manager and I don't have that type of relationship. I can't email them and get feedback. I have even emailed myself with my strengths, with the things the challenges for the week. And I still even do this now in my business. I send out an email into the week on my victories, my challenges, things I need to work on. So when I get that done on Monday, when I open up my email, that's the first thing that meets me. I can evaluate. This is what I didn't do well last week. I need to focus on this. This is where I need to start. So do that for yourself. But most managers are open. Most supervisors or managers, they hire you because there's a job they need for you to do. And they want you to do it well. So when you seek out their help, it improves the communication, it lets them know your commitment level, and it creates a win-win situation. Because if I was a manager and I had several people on my team and I had one who was coming to me for some direction, I would make sure that person got everything I needed, that they needed to be a success. I would make sure that was an environment for success. I would focus on that. And when you do this, be it with a manager or with yourself, you're creating a contract around your commitment and around your communication. And those things are really what's going to be a big indicator of your success and what you're able to do. When I first started this business, I knew tons about time management, organization. I knew about productivity, but there was a lot I did not know. So the first thing I did was I surrounded myself with a team of people who could help fill in all the gaps on where I was weak. I sought a business advisor. I sought all these different people, so that instead of Keisha now having the answer and Keisha being responsible for the success, I had a team of people together that instead of coming to Keisha, our success was now on a whole team of people. It wasn't just me. And although you may work for a company, that's what you need to do. You need to create an environment or a team of success. So everything's not just on Cheryl. There's a whole bunch of insight and input going into this. So if Cheryl succeeds, this team has been successful. If Cheryl fails, this team has failed. So creating that type of environment, and therefore your productivity is no longer just limited to you. It's not all on your plate. You open it up. So you need to allow people to help you do that. In your notes, I have put in something I created. I call it the ABCDE priority guide. So many people talk about confusion. Well, I know all these things I need to do. I don't know how to prioritize them. It's very, very simple. I am a humongous fan of to-do lists because it gives you a blueprint every single day for your success. It lets you know what you're accomplishing and what you're not. And it's very, very simple, very easy. The A's, when you write out your list in the morning or the night before you go to bed on the things you need to accomplish, or before you leave work and you're jotting it all down. When you write it all down, there's some things up there that are A's. Those are the absolutes. Those are the things that if you don't do, there's some major consequences. So you don't even have a choice. They have tremendous impact. So those are the super important tasks that you can't compromise on. Those are the absolutes. Then you have the B's. I call those the backbones, because those are the things in your life, the daily staples, the things that you have to do. They're the support system. They sustain you. These are the things that you may not want to do them, but these are requirements. So those are some of the things that you have to do. And when you look at your to-do list, you have what I call C. Those are the cool things. Those are the things you want to do, which is where most people usually start. That's the fun stuff. You go into work and you want to go get a cup of coffee and catch up with your friend, and so that's cool. Or you want to call and check, or you want to read the newspaper, or you want to take a break. Those are the cool things. You don't get paid real well for the cool stuff. And you should never be doing a cool item when you still have A and B tasks on your list that has not been done. A and B tasks are what makes your boss look good. A and B tasks are what gets you bonuses. A and B tasks are what gets you promoted. But we fill our life with all the C's, and we're busy. We're running. And then you want to understand why they want you to do more. There's another project, there's another deadline, another account, another call, and you are flabbergasted. You don't see if you're coming or going. And it's because you are doing tons of C's. Those, when those are on your list, and I still put those things out that I would like to do, but if a A and B is undone, C's are not even thoughts. I don't even have to think about it because you'll negotiate and change your mind. Well, if I go ahead and do this now, it'll really open up some more time, and then I'll just do this later. If you're on a C task and you have A's and B's that have not been done, you're being unproductive. Just hear me say that. You're being unproductive. The D task, those are what you delegate or what you delay. What can you delegate to someone else so that you can focus on that 20% of things? And as a woman, as a wife, as a mother, as a business owner, those are the things that only I can do. There's certain things within my company that I have to do. I can't delegate. Though I need to focus on those, and anything else I can have somebody else do, then I need to delegate those. Or things that don't have to be done now. These are things I can delay. It's not as urgent. If I don't do this today, it's not a big deal. I can put this off on another day. The E's are the things that you need to eliminate altogether. Maybe you used to have to do this report and turn in once a week 6 months ago, but now it's null and void. Why are you still doing it? Eliminate those things that don't need to be done. And you just got to focus on really with your priorities and with your productivity is just keeping first things first. Focus on the main things. Get those things done. And when you're doubling your productivity and you're setting up, putting yourself in a position to really make more money, to be promoted, to get more accounts, you ought to know immediately that it's going to require hard work. And most people are willing to work hard, but they just don't really understand what they're working hard for. And when you work hard, I'm talking about really working hard. That's putting in a full day's work. You know, when you get to work, have your mind set up from 9 to 5. I'm going to work as hard as I can. I'm going to be as focused as I can. I'm going to do the most that I can do. So when I leave out of here at 5 o'clock, I've put in enough that I can be rewarded for. I can expect some results. I can expect to close some deals. I can expect the counts to be in place. You know, number 2, working fast. And I'm not talking about running around all like this. It's doing things with a sense of urgency. You know, how many times do you check off a task at work? And you're like, okay, that's done.